Hey, g'day everybody. Josh here from Sydney, Australia, and it's been a long time. Hello to everyone. It's probably been about 6 weeks since I did my last video, and the reason for that is because I've just been very busy with work. I thought, you know, um, my my absence from YouTube sort of coincided with the Defending Elvis channel and Louis changing his perspective. The new beginning thing, which I never really bought into, but he did what I essentially asked him to do at the start, and that was to, stop throwing the trashing of the Smiths and all that stuff that he was going with. And I thought to myself, look, if he continues to go down this track of where he's going to stop doing that, he called it a new beginning, whatever he wanted to call it. At the end of the day, if he was going to stop doing it, then I would stop putting out videos essentially attacking him, in my view, putting back on him what he's been doing to others. So I really thought I would give it a good go. Um, I've made a comment here and there. I'm still a member of lots of channels, and I like to, when I'm working during the day, I'll often put my headphones on and just have a listen to some of my favourite channels. I listen to EFM, and that, and I listen to MMK, and there's several I listen to, but just recently, I mean, there's been lots of things that have been done, right, that I've just looked at and just shake my head. Um, the stuff with some of the stuff that Donna's come out with is it's appalling, and unfortunately, I just have to go, well, people can do what they'll do. She's really pushing on Channel 10 here in Australia. It's a shame, but they're a second-rate channel over here. They are one of our bigger commercial channels, but not one of our more popular channels with their programs. But they picked up on in their morning show Donna talking about Elvis being murdered. And look, it would have been just because of Elvis Presley's name, and a cousin of Elvis says that. Shame on her, but I think it's pretty obvious to everybody that Elvis was not murdered. And if there was that, in any inkling of that, then it's a pretty big oversight, isn't it, for your Memphis police force? And, you're really saying that someone at superstar status like Elvis, if we're going to say he didn't die of natural causes, um, after all of the things that have been looked at and investigated when it came to, that time period and even later, um, absolutely no reference has there ever been to Elvis was murdered. So, and Donna, once comes out with it when there's no evidence and no one to rebuke her, as usual. That's her modus operandi. Everyone's gone. No one can dispute it. Such and such told me this. In my view, she's as bad as Dee Stanley, saying what she said about getting on stage and saying that she spoke to Vernon and she spoke to Mary about Elvis and his mother. Really, think about it. Everybody else is dead, just like when Dee did it. She referenced everybody who was gone, who couldn't rebuke her, and that's exactly what Donna does. So, that's the way it is. And I see lots of little things now that make me think that there's a lot of people that have twigged on to what Donna's all about. They probably knew a long time ago, but I see little things. I see little things put out by. I just saw something recently put out by Linda Thompson. Her having some talking about having a lunch or a dinner, a 4-hour dinner with Jerry Schilling, catching up with him. And I saw a Facebook post where she talks about the amount of people that, who like to say they were around Elvis, these so-called experts. And I mean, Donna and little Corporal McCready's are a lot on social media, right? They're probably getting seen by the likes of Linda Thompson, that as well. And I think that's a reference to her. I think that's a reference to Donna. And they probably see, the little corporal as well, because of the things he comes out with, and his, he is a marketing team. So he just doesn't realise he's being used as the marketing team, but he is the marketing team. But one thing I do want to say is, and the reason why I'm doing this video tonight is because, little Corporal McCready's is playing games again. He's just starting to go back to his old ways, and I'd like to make a point of it. While it's just coming out, he's just turning the. He couldn't keep it in. He's done well to keep it in for 6 weeks, whatever it's been. But I'm seeing the shades of old start to come out. And there's just a few little things he's doing. But first of all, let's just do a bit of a refresh. One of the things that I'm really seeing him come out with is, Donna, what has she done? All she's ever done is defend Elvis. All she's ever done is defend her family. And it made me think of the fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. In my view, I hold this view that Donna has well and truly done her dash when it comes to the Elvis world, in my view. And let's face it, we've got someone who is a first cousin who is shamelessly saying all these things on Facebook in videos. She must have, there might be 30 or 40 videos by now. Maybe there's more. I deliberately don't watch. I might watch one in every 10. Because if it doesn't, for me personally, I don't do what doesn't make me feel good, typically. And so I don't watch things that don't make me feel good. Or unless I watch something and I just want to see what's being said. But that's not as often anymore. To be honest with you, I'm just too busy with what I'm doing in my life outside of this, outside of YouTube. But so, in my eyes, with the amount of things that have been brought to your attention through not just my channel, there are other channels and a Facebook group that is bringing out a lot of things. There's a channel out there that's bringing out, that's gone and purchased a lot of the court documents, and they've sat down and talked, and there's some smart people on there that have sat around and chatted about these documents and what's gone on. There's just so much smoke around Donna Pritchett. I don't believe she's telling the truth about Buddy. I don't believe it. I think she was involved like him. But you know how I stand on that. But let's just, if we go back, there's a lot of circumstantial evidence that is all around Donna. Donna and Buddy took out numerous loans for money using the Presley name. Donna and Buddy met Elvis fans at Elvis events, convincing some to lend them money or to sell their memorabilia. We've got reports that Donna offered a TCB necklace to some of Elvis's fans she'd built a relationship with, trying to get $10,000. She'd drop the price to $5,000 if they made the decision quickly. And these are people having direct conversations with Donna that she has never addressed and refuses to address. She claimed that a TCB necklace was her father's and that Elvis had given it to him, but there's no record of Earl ever receiving a TCB from Elvis. There's evidence online of Donna and Buddy auctioning off numerous Elvis items over the years. We've highlighted this, not just me, other channels. Lots of old information out there where there's been, there's been cushions. What is there? Cushions. There's been, what do you call them? Lamps. There's other gear as well. Donna and Buddy appear to have just lived off Elvis's name after his death. Numerous examples of travelling overseas to Elvis events. Photos with Donna sitting in expensive cars with magnetised signs advertising her status as Elvis's cousin. We know they were forced out of the Rivermark in Memphis. They were living there rent-free in an apartment, basically hiding. And all their possessions were absconded due to the fact they ghosted creditors and just numerous unpaid bills. Some of those unpaid bills are just simple tradespeople plumbers, carpenters, and a bunch of other people who they just didn't pay, mums and dads, as well as some other, jewellery. And a jeweller that Elvis actually bought all his stuff for, all his glasses. So, she certainly, no doubt, used her name to get hold of that jewellery on credit. We know that there was intimidation and threats by Buddy to many individuals, including Donna's cousin Edie, who actually did the bulk of the work in bringing that book to the market. They never paid her for her work, and they didn't pay the investor, who stumped up all the money to the publisher. They just took the books. There's evidence of nefarious activities continuing right up to Buddy's death by his own hand in 2013. Cheques produced in evidence made out directly to Donna, intimating Buddy had direct access to Donna's account if Donna didn't receive the cheque herself, which she claims she didn't, and the case was withdrawn. She switches names as she sees fit. She's gone through the years since Elvis died. She's known as Donna Early, Donna Pritchett Early, Donna Presley Early. There's about 12 variations that you can find on different documents or different references, even where she's signed in a book. I've seen different references. I've seen a book signed where it says Donna Presley Early. I've seen Donna Early Presley. I've seen just different iterations. I'd be interested to know whether any of this is official or these name changes. Generally, if you're going to go by another name, you change the name officially. So I'd be curious to know whether that's the case. I suppose it'd be interesting to know what her passport says. Consistently seems to use Donna Presley now with a story that's all about honouring her mother. That argument doesn't hold weight with me when you consider Nashville passed away as a Pritchett. So she respected her husband up until her death. He died after her. She didn't see any need to change her name from Pritchett to Presley. She'd be the one that I would say would have the most right to do it, considering Presley was her name. Presley was never Donna's name. I don't care how many times little Corporal McCready wants to say she's got Elvis's blood, all these things that he says. Yes, they're related, but she never had the Presley name. She's not born a Presley. She's born a Pritchett, and it's a discredit to Earl Pritchett, to be honest, that this even is a topic. I'd be very upset if my daughter changed her name from my name. I named my daughter. My wife and I named my daughter. I'd be very upset to hear that she's gone to another name or my wife's pre-married name simply because of Elvis. That makes no sense to me. Billy and Joe Smith have stated they don't recall certain claims Donna now makes on her YouTube channel the same way they do. I think that's very telling as well. There was no bad blood that I've ever heard of between Donna and Billy and Joe Smith. Why would there be? There shouldn't be. I think the whole thing now is that they know Donna as Donna Pritchett, and they just don't see things the way that she does in her videos. They've made that claim. They've stated that. And if there's any angst in there, that's where the angst is, because I gather they think she's an opportunist. I think she is too. We know that Donna isn't mentioned anywhere in major authors' books. And we're talking comprehensively analysed books, many with the support of EPE, the likes of Peter Gralnick, Jerry Hopkins, Alan Nash. Nothing mentions Donna, none of it. And this has been discussed before, and even the Weirdo Hillbilly, he's mentioned it, that it's not a big deal, and he used Vesta's book and said, oh, Vesta was on the gate, and he doesn't mention Donna. Does that mean she never went in and out of the gate? Pretty stupid analogy, but essentially what this is referencing is that these are comprehensively analysed books. These authors were sponsored by EPE. There is nothing of any significance that involves Donna. That's the crux of it. And that's all it is. It's a point. We know Vernon employed Donna in the final year of his life. I think she started in January 1979. He died in June. She had the less important function of answering fan mail. I mean, I presume that's to give her some employment. Maybe she wasn't working. And it might have been a favour to Nash and alleviate Patsy of that task. Maybe Patsy was doing that. I don't know. I think she was more like an office manager. Maybe someone left and there was an opening. I don't know the situation to why Donna got employed in there, but she managed to get it. That's her foot in the door, I guess. We know Vernon passed away mid-79 and he wasn't well. And we know that Donna was 10 years older than, or 9 or 10 years older than Buddy, and she met him at Graceland. And through Buddy knew her brother. And he introduced, Buddy got introduced to Donna and a relationship formed. Buddy was very young, very young. I think he was 20. Donna was 29. Donna never lived in the house at Graceland. She shared a trailer out the back with her parents after the Circle G was sold. Interestingly, you might think, considering Elvis bought the Circle G in 67, it didn't sell till, I think it was 71 or 72. Elvis actually only spent about a month. And I believe he didn't even spend a full month at the Circle G before he was off on the next movie. He spent very little time at the Circle G, but yet put a hell of a lot of effort and a lot of money into doing a lot of things there. He had big intentions, but, we all know the story there. He wanted to have like a second Graceland almost. Yeah, and in here, I've got here as a circumstantial fact, Donna's interactions with Elvis are not clear, and they're merely her word. There's no one around now that can dispute any of it. That can say, yes, it happened, no, it didn't happen. There's just some minor things. We do know Billy and Joe have said, yes, they saw her around the place when they were there. And yes, we know that they had an absence from Graceland as well. But they recall seeing her around there at times. And I think Danny has also said that. It certainly appears that Donna had no relationship with Lisa Marie after Elvis passed away. Lisa doesn't appear to have tried to get in touch with Donna. And we can only draw assumptions that the activities of Donna and Buddy, which made the press, and they made the TV news, and that was very unlikely, in my view, just my opinion, to have been viewed positive by the family or EPE. Because Donna was going by, she's been going by a lot of different names, and the media would have known this is a cousin of Elvis. And certainly the Rivermark fiasco, where officers with guns are going in to get you out of an apartment that you won't leave. And would it take 2 days to get all their stuff out of the apartment? And a bunch of stuff, that would have been newsworthy. And we've also got other circumstantial evidence. You got Joel Wineshaker makes a statement at the 91st birthday celebration. He says, I understand people who have not, for whatever reason, developed a way to make a living for themselves. So like a parasite, they try to feed off a dead Elvis. And those can be people very close to him or people who have never met him. And in that, he's referring to people with agendas and states he can count on one hand those who are genuine, who don't have an agenda. He also states on Sirius XM Elvis radio interview, while he's defending Lisa Marie's wishes when the estate was going on a bit of a drama with Priscilla, and he was stating that Lisa could not be bought or pushed by anyone else. And he says, quote, she really is the only prezi that you could say that about. What this all just sort of, alludes to, Donna had nothing around Lisa Marie. This is Elvis's only daughter, and Donna didn't reach out to her at all. And Donna was an adult. Donna was 29 when Elvis died. Correction, she was 27 when Elvis died. So she was 29 when Vernon died, and Lisa was like 9, 10, 11, and she's never reached out to her. Was Elvis that important to her that she didn't bother about Elvis's only child? It just blows my mind. The reality is EPE don't even acknowledge Donna, and they also don't invite the Smith family either to events. Now, we can only draw an inference why. We don't have that information of what was going on in Lisa's head. We don't know what she's told Joel. We only know about the public statements Lisa did make that you would expect her to make because that was her dad. And, when she's seeing people say things in TV documentaries and books, whatever she thought, I would expect her to defend her father. So it doesn't surprise me one bit that she's made the statement that she did. And it doesn't surprise me that the Smiths are not invited to Graceland. It doesn't surprise me because I do think that, and I think they know it. I watched the video where I don't even know why Danielle asked that question because it sort of, it just doesn't. It's just not nice. It doesn't come out well. That clearly Lisa and EPE don't want the Smiths representing the brand, and that saddens me. And I'd suggest it saddens them. But they've moved on. They're older people now. This has been going on for a very long time. They're probably used to it. I think as fans, we'd probably all love to see Billy and Joe represent at Graceland. I would. But I don't think we'll see it because I honestly think that Lisa has basically blacklisted any of the Memphis Mafia who spoke about her dad and who spoke about him in a light that she didn't appreciate or like. And I think it's pretty clear that she didn't like what Billy said. I think that's pretty much the case, and I think Billy recognises that. So, God love Joe. She's defending what's been said, but there were things that were said that didn't need to be in the Memphis Mafia book. However, I respect that they made a decision, and it's their decision what they want to share. They were in the position that they were in, and it's theirs to share. So I'm not on the bandwagon of criticizing their sharing. In fact, I appreciate it personally because I'm one of those people who likes to know everything about Elvis, and it doesn't faze me to hear things and read things that are a bit unfavourable. Well, like, yeah, whatever. We've all got things. No one's perfect. And I think that's what deep down they were trying to put across. But I also get that there's also, of course, you can overshare, right? I just wanted to point this out too. There's been a lot of people at Graceland over the years, and this is what makes it a lot more, or makes it very obvious that Donna's not welcome. Look at all these family members who have represented at Graceland at different times. Even Edie Hand has represented at Elvis Week 2009. And then you've got all the musicians. Now, Edie Hand is a second cousin, as we know. Donna likes to diminish her role and call her a distant relative. It's pretty funny that a distant relative gets invited to Graceland before you do as a first cousin, and you actually lived in a trailer on the back of Graceland. But, look at all the people that have been there over the years. Now, this is saying Ginger Alden. I ran this through ChatGPT, but they're saying Ginger Alden has actually been to Graceland as a guest. So that could be right or wrong. I'm not entirely sure. But I put it there because I don't know. And I got ChatGPT to build me a list. And these are the authors, historians, Gorelnik, Salt, James, Jorgensen, and you got all of these. And there's actually some that I even know of. I mean, even last year, they had Shirley Dew there, which I know was very contentious. Some of the things that have gone on there with Shirley, but yeah. So, but absolutely no Donna Pritchett. So I would, I would hazard a guess that Donna coming out the way she is with her salacious videos saying all sorts of things, I would say that they wouldn't be very happy with that. One, they don't want her representing the brand. I think that's clear. But secondly, I think they doubt her. But what they will be comforted by is the fact that I don't think mainstream, they're going to look into her a little bit, and you're not going to find her too far. They're not going to be relying on her for a reliable source to talk about certain things because the credibility is not there. So, just my view. Something I want to put in here is, listening to the little corporal talk on his video recently. He said about how there's jealousy, about how fast she's building her channel, and that's the motivation for talking disrespectfully about Donna. I don't get that feeling from the Smiths. I think the Smiths are just comfortable in their own position. They know what their position and role and status was around Elvis. And I think they feel very comfortable talking about Elvis, as does Linda Thompson, I'd suggest. And, I've put here that Elvis fans have got pretty short memories. I see a lot of the comments that people put on some of her videos. A lot of them are, just, those sort of, we love you, Donna. There's a lot of, those sort of ones that people that I would suggest are not haven't really been following it, don't really know the full story to a lot of it. I mean, people have short memories, right, over time as well. And I put here politicians rely on that, right? They want you to remember the good over the bad, and that's so they can get elected. And I think I think that's where Donna sits. She's hoping everyone remembers the new stuff that she's been saying and the new way she's presenting herself, and the visit to is it an Indonesian or a Sri Lankan or a whatever orphanage, in Elvis's name, to get publicity, in my view. But anyway, I think she wants people to see that and think that she's out there doing these things in the best interests of Elvis. As humans too, we always want to see the best in people, right? We want to think people have changed. But I'm the sort of person myself, I want to say, like, okay, well, what evidence is there of change? What is there that this person's done that they're going to be improved? Because I can tell you, if I thought Donna, I'm all about second chances. I'm not perfect myself. I don't expect anyone to be perfect. But I would want to see something, that some recognition of past, and I would want to see that, okay, this is a genuinely changed. Because at the moment, all I see a lot of stuff out of books. I just don't believe her. I just can't believe the things she says. And I have to trust my gut. My gut generally steers me correctly. So yeah, we've got a propensity to want to give people a second chance, but we want to see some sort of evidence, that an acknowledgement. But if we look at it now, I would say, what mistakes has Donna admitted to making? There's none. She's none. All the stuff that happened at the Rivermark, all the jewelry, all the people that lost money, the chapter 13 to chapter 7, they never paid the money back. And we know there was, general tradespeople, plumbers, $300 bathroom, doing some bathroom plumbing, got them out knowing that they were going bankrupt, said they were going to pay them and just didn't pay them. There's just been so much that has gone on, and Donna wants us all to believe that it's all buddy. And little Corporal McCready, he keeps saying, well, what has Donna really done? All she's out there is defending Elvis. What has she done? Well, what she's done is create a litany of deceit when it came to Elvis fans over the years. A lot of Elvis fans lost money over her, and we know she was trying to sell fake TCB necklaces. We know that from her, not from her. Sorry, we know that people, both on my channel, someone on there has even said Donna offered him a necklace. And there's been others who've said it. So Donna is involved. And the reality is, I put here, what mistakes has she admitted? Absolutely nothing. She blames her husband and his drug and alcohol addictions. No responsibility for the fraud and deception over near 40 years of marriage. 40 years. She said she was abused. She said she was all sorts of things. You know, living with him, threatening violence, whatever else. 40 years. So, anyway, that's where I've left it. Now, what I did want to do is, I'm just going to pause it here. I want to make some comment on a couple of videos. So I know this has been played before, but I just want to have a listen to this, and I want to make a comment.
All right. Billy, when Lisa said in an interview that all the Memphis Mafia that exploited Elvis's downfalls could rot in hell, how did that make you feel about her saying that? And do you feel that does he feel that he did that maybe, and that's why she never reached out? So do you, I guess the question is, and forgive me if I'm wrong, but one, how did you feel about Lisa saying that? And two, did you feel like you exploited his downfalls?
So just before Billy answers this was a very brave thing to address. Not something you'll see Donna address in this manner, right? Because we all know Billy and Joe were there. They were at the coalface. It had to hurt them through the years as Lisa was growing up to realise that they were on the outer, right? After what happened, there's something in here, and we've been told roughly about it when Billy left Graceland and the family and they all moved, but it had to be a bit of a hurtful thing. So I applaud them for addressing it, because this is the first time I've heard it, and I've watched a lot of their videos. So let's have a listen.
Well, I don't think I did. You know, I mean, everybody's got downfalls. You know, everybody is, got certain things that. I didn't get into any real deep stuff, about Elvis.
Well, that's not really true, Billy. You did get into some deep stuff about Elvis. You reading that book, you said a lot of things. And there is some of it there that you must have was very personal. And so Lisa reading that, I can only think that you just didn't think that she would read it. So that's all I can think.
And Lisa, I mean, I can understand,
That's her daddy.
That was her daddy, and,
Absolutely.
I really think she had 2 or 3 other people in mind that she was really talking about. I don't really think she was talking about you or maybe Joe or anybody like that necessarily.
We'd have to ask Joe, this leads on to, if you don't think when she made those references she was talking about Billy, why did she never get back in touch?
She was upset with Lamar's book and all that with that, what was his name? Yeah. And because she never said anything to us, and
Yeah.
Well, not saying anything is the giveaway. She didn't address it because, as she said in that interview, what are they going to say? What can you say? There's nothing these two can say. Billy's made the decision to say what he said, and she clearly hasn't liked it.
But she probably was, angry, probably with all of us, stuff, that we told about Elvis, we just told the truth, and every man's got, certain faults, and, and we just named, the stuff that Elvis, was really like personally, and I don't think, I don't know if she, maybe, she just didn't want any negativity about him, at all. So,
Yeah.
she probably, was really pissed at me and the rest of us, all of us about that. And I can
But you
understand.
think about it, she was a child and she didn't really see and know a lot of the things that happened, or the way things went. A lot of it she did, and she told about in her book, which is true. But
This is difficult because I certainly don't want to offend the Smith family because I'm very, they made a decision, they said what they wanted to say, and they put it out there. I personally, and I've read the Memphis Mafia book many times, I personally think they weren't thinking of Lisa Marie when they were telling their stories. They weren't concerned with what Lisa Marie would think. They just didn't think of it. She was, what was the book came out in, was it, gee whiz, I can't remember. I've gone blank. I used to know when the book came out. I just don't think they thought of her because there are so many stories in there that you probably wouldn't say, about women, about what Elvis liked to do. You probably wouldn't say that if you were thinking of his daughter. She doesn't need to know that. But as I say, there's also, I suspect, and I wasn't there, so, but I suspect that there's a bit of, the guys, it's Lamar, it's Marty, they're friends, they're just openly just talking, right? And I reckon the others were saying things as well, and they were all just backing each other up too, right? When they would say things, and one would go, yeah, I can remember something similar with Elvis, he'd go and do this. I just don't think any of them thought about what Lisa Marie might think about that. So fascinating for us. I mean, the book is fascinating. And I can tell you now, there are many groups that want to say that book is almost like the Bible of Elvis, because it's three guys telling their experiences who were there pretty much all the way through, right through to Elvis's death from cradle to grave. And, without being a book of events and being really specific, it's just personal experiences, what they saw, how they felt, what they think Elvis was thinking, and it'll go down as a very good book. But, that's, my thoughts on it anyway. We'll keep going for a bit.
she didn't really say that until she was grown, really. And I think that came from somebody maybe telling her stuff about the guys. And
Well, it says on here, I wasn't asking this to start anything. I was just genuinely curious. Everything I've read or watched, Billy always seems to choose his words carefully. I'm just wondering if she was referring to anyone in particular aside from Red and Sonny. I know that Lamar had said some stuff, and he was with Elvis a long time and had said he was a true friend, but then didn't keep the negative stuff to themselves. At least I would have. So they just wondered how you felt
Well,
about
yeah, that sounds about.
Everybody's, entitled to their own way of, looking at things. And they, whoever that is, they probably wouldn't have. But, I didn't see, that it hurt Elvis in the least, a lot. And, just told the human side of him. And, some people, didn't accept it. But I think more of them did accept it.
I'll leave it at that. I get that. I think that they were telling the human side. And then it comes down to, personal interpretation of how far you go with that. But, they made the decision. They've said what they've said. You can't put the cork back in the bottle. And it's been done. What's done is done. I don't consider it's a trash book. I read that book and I find it fascinating, the things that they've said. I believe them as well. I think it's true. Um, these people don't strike me as liars. And the other thing I would say too is I would imagine that they had seen, whether it be newspaper articles or magazines, maybe a lot of mistruths said about Elvis through the years. And perhaps Billy saw this as, I'm going to be brutally honest. This is what Elvis was like. And maybe all three of them thought that way. And I agree with him. I don't believe it's harmed Elvis' legacy. It has not harmed his reputation. If anything, I believe that he's correct. It humanises the man. That's my view. All right, I just want to pause again, and I'm going to bring up another video. All right, so we got the little corporal here. He's taken to going through the comments of other people's channels again to read out other people. Now, he says he's going to lengths of not mentioning any names. Here's a comment that I made, and he knows who I am. And in a minute, he's going to go right through my comment. And he tries to downplay it. You'll hear him, but I don't even know why he would address my comment. Him and I have had a bit of two backwards and forwards. But I'm going to put him on here to have his say because I want to directly answer what he has to say. So let's go with it.
These people are hero worshipping people. You know, they're ignoring the damage this has done.
So the first thing I'm going to say is I find that even what he just said then, it's brash, it's disrespectful. They're hero worshipping, he says, and ignoring the damage that's been done. Now, in his view, by that book, they have damaged Elvis's reputation. Now, I think that's utter rot. And the way that you would look at that is if this was like, have a look at any other celebrities out there, and there's a few celebrities that were pretty high up in the eyes of the public who, after a few years and some things came out, suddenly they're not so high up anymore. And I've made mention of this before, but Jimmy Savile, Rolf Harris, what's his name, the Cosby, and I would even allude to Michael Jackson in some ways. Now, there's been things that have been said about all of those. Their reputations are damaged. Their reputations are tarnished. And I would suggest that that is in no way would you compare any of those with the stories that have come out and been told as anything comparable to Elvis Presley. So therefore, his reputation is not tarnished by those books. That is my view. And let's just let him keep going.
Okay, guys, so I got distracted again. I'm really sorry. It's all going on, yeah?
Smoke and mirrors, what he's trying to do is hide my name from there so he can go through and read my comment. He doesn't want you to see my name on there because he knows that all of you watching will know who I am because a lot of his followers know who I am. So anyway, not that I care, but you know.
Right, okay, let me just make sure you can see what I can see. Okay, so we'll just go through some comments. So here's a comment here, okay? So I do agree there are some Elvis fans that put Elvis on a pedestal, like he's godlike and like he's not human, you know, like he can do no wrong and has made no mistakes and never had a problem with prescription medication and was never unfaithful and was a perfect person. I do agree that when those type of people, they take it too far. Elvis, they hero worship Elvis to the point where it's just not realistic. Okay, so I get that. Now, this comment also says that Billy. Sorry, I don't want to name people. That these people have the right to choose what they share about Elvis. Obviously, they knew him, they were related to him, and they do. The people that were around Elvis, whether it's girlfriends, family, or bodyguards, yeah, or anyone. They have the right to share what they want. Yeah, of course they do. But we have the right to give our opinions. Lisa Marie had the right to be upset with them and say, I cut you off, go rot in hell.
So let's just talk about that really quickly. He's right. We do have a right to express our opinion. But in expressing our opinion, we're not forming judgment and we're not using language that is derogatory. We don't call them trash our book. We don't call them names. We respect who they are and their position. You don't respect their name and their position when you refer to their work as trash. So you can have your opinion. That's my view. You can have your opinion, but don't treat them rudely. Respect who they are, because they're the closest living people who can tell us anything about Elvis ongoing. Who else is there? So let's keep going.
Elvis didn't. Elvis never had his say, did he? There's no way he would have given permission to these people to share his private life.
Okay, now we keep going down this track. And I've said this before as well. When you're alive, you're alive. You of course, you're not going to give people permission. That's just silly. When you're dead, you're dead. It's like all your material items. They don't matter. What matters is being on this earth. Some people will choose to live in a certain way so they can stay as long as they can. Others will go fast or go home. And they'll live life hard. They will live a hard life. Or they won't take advice and they'll just live life the way they want to live it. But you don't get to, in depth, choose what happens to your material possessions. You don't get to choose what people say about you. You don't get to choose what people do. You don't get to choose anything. I'm sure if Elvis got to choose, Priscilla wouldn't have been in charge of Graceland. So that equation shouldn't even be a factor because it's a hypothetical and it doesn't exist. So moving on.
For money, for entertainment, for cash, for fame, because these people have fame and they get hero worshipped. These people get hero worship. They get treated as if they're Elvis.
He's big on this. People getting treated as if they're Elvis. He's called Joel Wayneshanker as if he's treated like he's Elvis. He's called Priscilla. She's treated like she's Elvis. There's been several over the journey. The reality is that needs to get out of the vernacular. None of them are Elvis. None of them are treated like Elvis. They're respected for their position, their status in the Elvis world, having been around Elvis. And hence they're given the respect that their status and position ensures. Joel Wayneshanker invested a lot of money in that brand to be able to run it. He's a big Elvis fan. He stated it. He's done a lot of good things for the Elvis branding and for Graceland. Whether you like the prices or not, I've never been there, so what can I say? But he is someone who has done a lot of good things for the brand. He worked with Lisa Marie, developed a relationship there. She trusted him. That's it. Moving on.
Because Elvis is not with us. Because they once knew Elvis. Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is that if Elvis was here now, there's no...
Hypotheticals again. Doesn't matter if Elvis was here. It's silly conversation.
way he'd be okay with what was shared by these people.
And you don't know what Elvis would think. He doesn't know. He doesn't know Elvis. So why even say it? Total hypothetical means nothing. Means nothing.
People. There's no way he'd be gutted. He'd be completely in shock that the very people he loved, that he was good to, that he gave a good life to, that he was so generous to.
It's all emotion. It's all, and this is how he does his channel. It's emotion. It tries to make an emotional connection. The fact is, Elvis is dead. In life, this would never have been an issue. They would never have said anything. But Elvis is gone. There's a whole heap of stories that were around about Elvis that were not true. His family members chose to straighten the record. They chose to tell what they considered was the truth, and they wanted it out there. That's it. That should be the end of it.
Have trashed him for more money. You'd be horrified. In fact, any
Who cares that they get paid money for it, by the way? He gets paid money for his channel. Donna Pritchett gets paid money for her channel. So why do you have to keep going down the money path? The only one being paid no money here is me. But he's getting paid. So you're all getting paid. So he shouldn't even be bringing money into it. That's just hypocritical.
family would. Any family would be horrified if other members of their own family sold them out in books, biographies, documentaries, magazines, tabloids, on YouTube, wherever, yeah? So, yes, these people do have the right to pick and choose what they share, but
Absolutely.
then we have the right to respond. Yeah, it's that simple. Yeah?
Politely.
So then it says here that they humanized Elvis. They did. Okay, fair enough. I think you can humanize Elvis without sharing his private problems with prescription medication. Call it drugs if you want. I think.
Well, that's your opinion. So now you're putting your opinion across. You think there's another way to humanize Elvis. Okay? So that you offer that opinion.
You can humanize Elvis, but without saying stuff that takes away his dignity, that embarrasses him, that humiliates him.
Let me tell you something. I just put my mother-in-law into a nursing home. And let me tell you, when you get older, when you're passing, whether it be palliative care or whatever else, all dignity goes out the door. You don't care about dignity. You care about, you just want to get through, that day. And the fact is, Elvis isn't here to care about all of this stuff. He's not here. There is no, worrying about someone's dignity. What should have happened here, and I believe has happened, because there was none of this stuff about the book, before a couple of years ago. What has happened is most people have gone, oh wow, oh geez, Elvis was like that too, because there's a lot of unsavory shit that happens in people's lives. Okay, so Elvis was like that. All right, so he did do this, he did do that. Okay, that's it. So what? He's human. He did shit. He's a bit self-destructive. He took drugs. Some of it was for fun. He liked the feeling. So what? World's full of it. Have a look at some of the YouTubes going on at the moment in Philadelphia and some of these places that are going on with street drugs around the world. You think there's any dignity with any of those people? They're making videos on YouTube of them leaning over. Honestly, some of them is disgusting. But it's life. It's life.
Now, let's say my life, for example. Yeah? Last night, I was at my brother's house. We had a get-together. Come home.
You can't
went
compare
for a dog
this.
Walk. I did a 3-mile walk last night because it was such a hot night. Went to bed. Watched a film. Woke up. Got the kids ready for school. Made them pack lunch. Then I went for a morning walk. And I made myself a coffee, had a cup of tea. Then I did the washing up. I've done a bit of tidying today. That's humanized. Yeah?
No, that's your routine. That's not humanized. Humanized is taking someone who is a superstar, who people don't know anything about, and it's about telling the story of what their life is actually like, and then making it, humanizing him, and I use the reference of putting your pants on one leg at a time, of going for a walk in 77, I think it was, where he needed to get out and walk a bit more, and he'd walk down to the gate and back. I think it was with Tish Henley. That's humanizing. We can all relate to it. It's something that we would do. It humanizes Elvis. That humanizes, not what he just went through. He just explained his routine.
Did the Hoover, mopped up.
No.
Did a bit of gardening. That's humanized. The stuff that was shared about Elvis is not humanized. It's trashing. Trashing. Yeah? And it's been done by family. Elvis would be absolutely shocked. So they say they humanized Elvis. They did, but in the wrong way. They
In
did
your
it in
opinion.
the wrong way. And other people are the same. Priscilla did it. The Stanleys did it. Certain Marty Lacker, Lamar Fight.
They told their stories about Elvis and they humanized him. They said, this is what happened. This is what went on. He was worried about what people thought of him, how people saw him. He was worried about what he looked like when he was out in public. That's humanizing him, saying what he was actually worried about, what he was, and how he actually did things, and not this grabbing a hoover and mopping, and for someone who's not famous. I mean, he's not anyone that does anything that you would look at and go, wow, how does Louis live his life?
Red West, Sonny West. These people humanized Elvis, but in a horrible way in front of his daughter, Lisa Marie. And this is the problem. We know Elvis was
And I will say this too. Yeah, okay, they did say these things about Elvis in books and in documentaries. And I'm going to say they didn't consider what Lisa Marie might think. That's as I've said previously. But that's not for us to worry about. That's for Lisa Marie to worry about. And if she wanted to, take it up with them. And if she didn't want to take it up with them, then she does what she did and just doesn't address it because she said it in an interview. Well, what are they going to say? So that's how she dealt with it. So that should be it. She dealt with it in her way.
human. We know that Elvis was a real person. And yes, we're interested in Elvis's human side, but not the trashy side of it that takes away his dignity. As I keep saying, Lisa Marie said,
Speak for
Elvis's
yourself.
dignity meant everything to him, and these people that he loved and trusted, that he was so generous to and kind to, and they were so lucky to be in his life. Yeah.
Anyway, I'm going to end that here because what he ends up doing here is reading my comments and basically pulling them apart. And one of the comments I'm going to say that I've put here, and you can read it on their channel, on the FM channel. I actually write here, let me just get this out here. I put here, so I would ask anyone that criticizes the Smiths, not whether you would do the same, because that's their decision, not yours, but whether you'd appreciate being able to make your own decisions on what you shared, being in the unique position of not only a relative of Elvis, but a confidant and a friend. It doesn't matter that you were a confidant and you tell stories about Elvis, because Elvis is gone. And there's probably things that Billy and Joe haven't said that they've kept for them. That's up to them. It's their personal choice. Then I write, to this day we have to put up with YouTubers' over-opinionated views that an addiction didn't exist. Now, what I refer to with that is he swaps backwards and forwards on the addiction thing, as does Donna. So where is it? Pretend that poor Elvis was taken advantage of throughout his life. I don't believe Elvis was taken advantage of throughout his life. Elvis was the boss. Sure, there were some things that went on in his life, pardon me, long-term contracts that were signed that weren't in his best interests. But Elvis could have said something. Elvis could have said no. If Elvis wanted to go to Europe and ditch the Colonel, he could have got his plane and said, we're going to Europe. So Elvis was in charge. And I think Billy Smith and Joe, I think they would say that. So, I just think that's rubbish. These people, and I put here, these people and their followers like to harp on about sickness and illness so they can continue a narrative that they're defenders of Elvis when the reality is it simply isn't needed. And I believe that. Look, I believe that Elvis's long-term addiction, his long-term use of drugs caused his illnesses. I think that, I believe that's the case, right? Rightly or wrongly. Yes, maybe there was some genetic stuff in there, but, I'm a big advocate, lifestyle pulls the trigger. So genetics loads the gun, lifestyle pulls the trigger. Elvis didn't necessarily have a healthy lifestyle after about 71. All right, we know what he was doing. And there's a lot of science behind the circadian rhythm and people who stay awake all night and sleep during the day. It's known to be not good for you for hypertension, blood pressure, all those sort of things. There's countless research stuff there on shift workers. But not only that, someone who's got sleep issues, probably should never have been taking Dexedrine and amphetamines, right? Now, but I'm not a doctor, and I caveat all of that with, I don't think that it's a safe thing to do to take a bunch of pills to get by, to live your life, to get you going, to do what you got to do. But I'm also very cognizant and respectful of the fact that back in the 70s and back in those times, things were very different. Things weren't as known about as they are now. We're a very health conscious society these days. So, you know, let's leave it at that. But I don't believe poor Elvis was sick. Poor Elvis was this. Yeah, Elvis was ill. I can have a lot of empathy for the position that he found himself in. But I also know by the books, The Revelations of the Mafia, and certainly other things, you know, the court case of Dr. Nick, the inquest hearing, you know, I know what sort of stuff was going on, and that stuff's never gonna end well. So, and then I put Elvis Presley's legacy is set. Nothing in books is tarnished or damaged the legacy of Elvis Presley. His life's turned out just the way it was meant to. And what I mean by that is, if you're a believer in God and Christianity, then you believe that our life is ordained. It is what it is. We live our life, and things just turn out the way it's in God's hands, what happens to us. So that's what I mean by, you know, this has turned out just the way it was meant to. Elvis, some would say that were around him, I've heard him say it, they could never imagine him as an old man. So, you know, I don't know. I don't know what that would have looked like. I just think this was obviously was meant to be. And I put here, it's the lies and manipulation of Elvis's life by others who put themselves in places they weren't, who are the ones to watch out for now. So he correctly references this, and he says that's a dig at Donna Pritchett. And it is. I am saying that is. I think the biggest risk in Elvis Presley's legacy now is the fact that everyone is gone who can say anything, and people can come out of the woodwork and say whatever they want. And there's a new bunch of fans and a lot of forgiving older people and people who have forgotten who Donna Pritchett is, who can now hear a new narrative. And I think it's the new narrative spin that we risk getting from the likes of Donna Pritchett, and maybe people like her, who see an opportunity in the absence of people who can actually say, you know, what went on. And that's what I believe. And he's going to harp on in a minute about, you know, Donna, but I'm going to cut it off. So if you want to go see his video, go watch his video. The name of it's down here. Shocking Elvis defenders told defending Elvis is not needed, or something like that. That's the name of his thing. You can go and watch the video. All right. So I should say thank you to everybody for if you've managed to get all the way through this video. I appreciate it. I appreciate reading all about the comments, and I've actually received some emails from a lot of you who have actually been throwing me information that you've come across, or information that you know about Donna and the different things that have been going on. I've read so much stuff that some of you have sent to me, with some detailed explanations of things, and some people have reached out. Some of you, I've had some, honestly, if I could go through my email inbox, I've had some people who've been very complimentary about the fact that I've brought this to the attention of everybody. But I would also add, you know, guys, if you follow the, what's it called, Elvis A to Z channel, they often cover this sort of stuff. And, you know, they got Cam, they got Rick, and they've got Joe Crine and Amy on there. And that's they do some really good work on the Elvis What Happened book. And I really like it. You know, when I'm at work and I've got my headphones, I'll sometimes have a listen. So they also cover off pretty well on Donna, and, you know, the things that have gone on with her, which I really appreciate, because I think we should be putting this out there far and wide. All right. Thank you, everybody.